Tingemas. 6 rhyming couplets. 5 war poems. 4 highlighters. 3 post-it notes. 2 mock exams. And a poetry anthology. Hello and welcome back once again to the Tinged as Literature channel. Today I'm going to be going over the 6th day of Tingemas, where I'm going to go over Wilfred Owen's Exposure. Now, Tingemas is a series where I go over the 15 power and conflict poems in the run up to Christmas. So let's begin by reading through Exposure. Our brains ache in the merciless iced east winds that knife us. Wearied we keep awake because the night is silent. Low drooping flares confuse our memory of the assailant. Worried by silent, centuried whispers, curious, nervous, but nothing happens. Watching we hear the mad gusts tugging on the wire, like twitching agonies of men among the brambles. Northward incessantly the flickering gunnery rumbles, far off like a dull rumour of some other war. What are we doing here? The poignant misery of dawn begins to grow. We only know war lasts, rain soaks, and clouds sag stormily. Dawn massing in the east, her melancholy army, attacks once more in ranks on shivering ranks of grey, but nothing happens. Sudden successive flights of bullets streak the silence, less deadly than the air that shadows black with snow. With sidelong flowing flakes that flow, pause and renew, we watch them wandering up and down the wind's nonchalance. But nothing happens. Pale flakes with lingering stealth come feeling for our faces. We cringe in holes back in forgotten drains and stare snow-dazed, deep into grassier ditches so we drowse sun-dozed, littered with blossoms trickling where the blackbird fusses. Is it that we're dying? Slowly our ghosts drag home, glimpsing the sunk fire glows. With custard dark red jewels, crickets jingle there. For hours the innocent mice rejoice, the house is theirs, shuttered and doors all closed. On us the doors are closed. We turn back to our dying. Since we believe not otherwise can kind fires burn, now ever sun smile true on child or field or fruit. For God's invincible spring our love is made afraid, therefore not loath we lie out there, therefore we're born. For love of God seems dying. Tonight his frost will fasten on this mud and us, shrivelling many hands and puckering foreheads crisp. The burying party, picks and shovels in their shaking grasp, pause over half-known faces, all their eyes are ice, but nothing happens. Nifus personifies the wind, and creates unexpected tension between the soldiers and nature. Sentries and silence is sibilance that captures the noise of the wind and creates a sense of loneliness and bitterness. Brambles shows the barbed wire to be a metaphorical perspective and an imitation of nature's brambles. And what are we doing here is a rhetorical question that highlights the hopelessness of the soldiers and the overall war. Misery and dawn are directly oxymoronic and show that soldiers dread the following day. Ranks of grey shows the rain is personified and repeats the emphasis of the helplessness of the soldiers. Bullet streak is a harsh assonance that links the weather to gunfire and therefore conflict and pain. And flakes that flock show the snow is alliterated to highlight the heavy blanketing of the weather and that the weather views the soldiers as weak. Hail flakes makes the idea that the men are animalised, and that in the presence of nature, man is only its prey. Is it that we're dying is a rhetorical question that shows the soldiers' confusion, and that they can no longer tell what is normal and what isn't. And crusted dark red jewels is a metaphor for frozen blood that creates imagery about the values of life of being ultimately wasted by war. Child, field and fruit show that the men have felt abandoned and have lost faith in God, and creates a contrast between God's Garden of Eden, hence the fruit, and the battlefield, which also contributes towards tones of betrayal and despair. Shaking grasp is a metaphor to show the coldness and death, alongside that the men are now empty and soulless, and "but nothing happens" is repetition in the final line, which gives the impression that it's a never-ending cycle and that the soldiers are frozen in time. Now let's take a look at the theme of exposure. The poem itself is based on war and therefore linking directly to conflict, and within itself it's mainly about the weather and the conditions of living within the trenches rather than any fighting. The poem is mainly about conflict between man and nature, and is extremely relevant because man had created machines that could launch explosive shells for miles and destroy the landscape, and yet nature could still do more harm than anything man could produce. Well, that's it for this video. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll be bringing Day 7 of Tingemas tomorrow.